Hi there, I'm going to keep this brief, but hints just came out that the upcoming Dunk and Egg prequel TV series to Game of Thrones will return to filming in Northern Ireland. Now, this isn't some secret someone passed to me through Twitter DMs that I can't tell you about in public or that no one else is backing up. That would be clickbait. This is based on public info, it's just we don't know quite how to interpret it. We're not entirely confirmed. Well, the one who tipped it off was Witcher fan site Redanian Intelligence noticed this first, that they frequently check through the LinkedIn profiles for various producers working at HBO, and they noticed one of the line producers for Game of Thrones throughout its run, Lisa Byrne, updated her profile to say she'll be working on the Dunk and Egg prequel show. This is all public, it's on her LinkedIn profile. But they noticed that in her location she gave for the Dunk and Egg prequel, she put Belfast, Northern Ireland. That's all up there. This isn't rumor or some guy told me. But now the question is, was this a mistake? Because let me tell you, the IMDb page for House of the Dragon for well over a year listed Northern Ireland as a location because whoever was updating that behind the scenes assumed it was returning to Northern Ireland, even though they stated they weren't. Now, I don't know if that still has to be fixed there. It's weird how IMDb is... It has the worst of both worlds, where it's not open to registration like wikis are, which means that the public can't correct something that's blatantly wrong. But it's just casual enough that you have to pay to sign up for it, that there's low quality, that it's not a small elite group of professional editors, nor is it crowdsourcing it so they'll notice a basic mistake. It's that middle ground where it's just enough where, what if the people doing that made a mistake? There's no real way to correct it. So I don't know if it's like that someone just copy-pasted her profile from that she used to work on Game of Thrones in Belfast and updated it for that. Now, she's a line producer, which means the people who specifically oversee set construction and things they need to build and put together for that day in terms of set dressing, all of that. This isn't a money producer, but the term producer is so vague. But no, a line producer has to physically be tied to where they're filming. Maybe her office is in Belfast, though, but she's willing to move. I don't know. Bigger possibility is, what if someone just copy-pasted this? Unlike IMDb, I think Lisa Byrne herself typed this, but maybe she copy-pasted it and it was a mistake. On her part, we have no way of knowing that. Nonetheless, if it is true, this would be amazing. Not just, oh, hooray, we're going back to Northern Ireland. Just how much the HBO prior administration screwed over the loyal cast and crew on the ground in Northern Ireland. I felt so awful about when you see behind-the-scenes things of all the set builders, the local crew down to the Teamsters. And when I say cast, I mean the literally hundreds of extras and day players. That there was an entire economy based on that show, and HBO abandoned them against their direct warnings that this doesn't happen in vacuum. That what happened was, I made videos about this, which I'll link in the description and at the end. Titanic Studios in Belfast was directly warning HBO, make more than one prequel pilot than just The Long Night. Do not put all of your eggs in one basket. Because if it fails, we cannot survive a 2-year turnaround with no shows. We will have to start renting out our space to other companies, local companies that pay us less, but on the principle of that we need the money now. We can't just go a year without working. And we'll have to sign multi-year contracts, and you will be unable to return here and use our physical locations, both in the studio and using it as a hub for filming in the countryside of Ireland, in the north there. That they didn't listen. I don't think they cared. Because the whole reason they picked The Long Night, which was a dumb idea to begin with, is it was a soundbite. It sounded really good, even though, a White Walker prequel, there's no source material. There's no familiar locations like King's Landing. This is a really dumb idea for a prequel. I don't think they cared, because at that point, it's sort of like senioritis, when you're the last year of high school and you're really just phoning it in. HBO's old leadership under Richard Plepler knew they were screwed, and knew we're just selling this to AT&T by this point, 2016 through 2018. And they were just phoning it in. They really didn't think about what would come next as a franchise. It's just that whole attitude of, after me, the deluge. Benioff and Weiss certainly didn't care. They were screwing everyone over to launch their movie career. They weren't worried about this as a franchise. Turns out the old HBO wasn't really that much either. They half-assed it and ended up throwing money at it. Yeah, we don't care. They wasted another $30 million on this terrible Long Night prequel pilot, which is the last thing they actually filmed in Northern Ireland. And everyone was so hyped for it, and just, yeah, it turns out they half-assed this, weren't really thinking about the future for us. That, well, Plepler's off as a producer on Apple TV shows now, or trying to be. Just the golden parachute, but all of those wonderful people who were so nice to the fans, were so eager to do all of this, screwed them over, because they didn't care that you need to have more than one iron in the fire. You can't just bet it all on Long Night. If it fails, we can't sit around waiting for you. You will lose us as a location, we'll lose you as a really lucrative contract, but that's what's going to happen. And it did. They really didn't care, and just so awful. There are reasons they filmed in Northern Ireland, because 20 years ago it was considered a war zone. I mean, in 1990, if you said we're going to film a major movie or TV series, international TV series in Northern Ireland, it'd be like saying we're going to film it in Bosnia. And just how many of the people, cast and crew, like the Hodor actor said, it just warms my heart so much that I grew up in the Troubles, and now we are to Westeros as New Zealand was to Lord of the Rings. And it's bringing in work, both in terms of the actual show, which is huge, and the hundreds of people it employs, but also the booming tourism trade. Like, tourism to Belfast would have been like tourism to Sarajevo in 1990. And not necessarily in scale, but in terms of the mindset of tourists, whether it was accurate or not, people would have thought that was silly. And that the pride they felt in this, that this is something Northern Ireland can do, and we are part of film history. When you see those behind-the-scenes things, and HBO, the old HBO, did not care about them, and was just, we are running out the door shouting no backsies. They did not plan for this, what comes next. None of them were. Benioff and Weiss didn't care about the future of HBO. The heads of HBO then said, screw it, we're out of here. We don't care about the people we're employing. And just how much they believed in this, I felt so awful about how much HBO used them. And on top of that, all the stuff we find out about how incompetent they were behind the scenes, and the stunt accidents that they were willing to put up with to be part, for Northern Ireland, after everything had gone through, to be part of a major franchise like this. They thought it was worth it. They were willing to put up with all of that anyway, and they still got screwed over. I just feel so awful about it. And a lot of this is coming out in the news these days with the SAG strike, Screen Actors Guild SAG-AFTRA strike. A lot of them complaining, one of the reasons they film a lot in Europe is because they don't have as strong unions as we do, because they know they can get away with mistreating the cast and crew like that, and the extras and crew. They know they can do that there. And but in their minds, it was, at least it's a steady paycheck, at least it's good for the economy. The Hodor actor crushed a disc in his spine from some of the stupid heavy lifting they made him do. He said, it's worth it, I'm part of HBO. And all the terrible long night filming they had to go through, where they didn't realize, oh wait, people run the risk of frostbite if you leave them out in the cold overnight. Little things, or the danger of fire, and the horse accidents, and they didn't care. These people were so loyal, they were willing to put up with it. And then they abandoned them. Now, obviously, Dunk and Egg is a much smaller scale show, both because it's 6 episodes, and particularly first season, the whole thing happens at one tournament. So I don't know how many people would be. They wouldn't do that much filming, location filming. But in terms of the lighting crew, the line producers, the crowds of extras at the Ashford tourney, like Abradolf Strongbeard, I don't know if he'd be there again, or his great-grandfather, but I like to think that people that we've missed, who we knew for a decade as just that person from the news circuit that we saw as a person frequently giving interviews, as just, hey, we're filming now, isn't this great? Updates through social media, who are just gone now because HBO abandoned them. I hope we see them again. That the way it warmed my heart when so many of the other people, like the prosthetics team, the special effects teams, the music composer, who were abandoned when they just did not have plans for this after Game of Thrones itself, and it was nearly a dead franchise. Seeing that those internet, like, you can compose music anywhere, seeing that, like, the music composer came back for House of the Dragon, that the prosthetics people, the special effects people, a lot of people behind the scenes came back for House of the Dragon. At that level, I'd like to see those people happy, so happy and proud, and it was all based on a lie, and then they were left out in the cold. I want Northern Ireland to have that, because HBO, Plepler and Benioff forgot about them, we didn't. And I still feel pretty raw about how they treated them.